Hi, my name's Patty. I make and sell polymer clay earrings. This video is going to show you how to get started without spending much money, just kind of learning the very basics. If you think that you're going to be interested in pursuing this further, I would look at some of the other videos and what supplies you might need before you go shopping. The supplies in this video are some things you can find around your house, other things you can need to go out and buy either from Amazon or Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And then, yeah, I'm gonna show you how to make a pair of earrings at home from start to finish.
Okay, so I want to talk about each of the items that you need here and kind of what could replace them. Let's start with the clay. So I have a Sculpey Souffle here. That is the best one to work with in my opinion. Primo is also great. They're both available at your local Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Certainly you can get them on Amazon, a little bit pricier, I believe, and their website, but it's a $35 or maybe $50 minimum for free shipping. Avoid Sculpey, what's it called? Sculpey 3. Okay, you might see those in stores. Avoid that one. Also, the Fimo or Fimo is a fine brand. Okay, so that's the clay. You probably need to go out and buy that. This is a 6x6 tile. You can obviously get these at Lowe's and Home Depot for like 25 cents a piece, maybe even less. This is just your white, tile. It's a 6x6. If you think this is something that you might actually get into, I would recommend at least starting with 2 6x6s and 2 12-inch by 12-inch. If you're just, having fun or just playing around, as like a craft activity, I would have at least a 6x6 for each person. This is a pack of hooks. It's like a silver and gold. They are hypoallergenic, though nothing is real in the material. These were only like a few bucks. It came with other things as well, earring backs and earring cards, and it was only a few bucks on Amazon. Ball posts would work as well. You can get those on Amazon for pretty cheap. You may want to purchase jump rings. This pack comes with them, and a lot of them are kind of like jewelry starter packs and will come with them. The best brand for those, in my opinion, is the Bead Nova. It really depends on how much money you want to spend. Are you just trying this? Are you gonna, try it, potentially fall in love with it and do it? Okay. Another essential item is an acrylic roller. I did also pull out my kids' Play-Doh roller, and I'm gonna see how that works. So we'll see. I could definitely use this as a cutter, so we're going to try this as a roller, but you want acrylic. I don't use metal, but that's an acrylic roller. You can get them in a 4-pack on Amazon. They're a little bit skinnier, but that doesn't matter. Over here in this pile, I have random things I pulled from around my house. This is a medicine cup from like a children's Tylenol. This is from my kids' Play-Doh toys. This is also from my kids' Play-Doh toys. I just picked a random shape, but we have tons of them. This is the top of a spray bottle. I had like an essential oil mix. And this is an apple slicer. Not sure how any of these things are going to work. We're going to find out together. And then I think you should also get an X-Acto knife. I think that's what these are called. They're like they're not much. I think they're definitely under $10, but I think they're even under $5. And this is going to replace sanding for this tutorial video. I'm just kind of trying to show you the very basics. Like if you maybe think you might want to get started, but you don't want to invest too much financially, or if you want to do this with your kids or something like that. This is a non-essential item. Okay, this is a hand drill. I want to say it's about $8. I personally bought this one in a multi-pack from Amazon, but I have seen them in stores, just not recalling where. This will help drill our holes. Again, that's non-essential, but you would need something sharp. I will show you a toothpick. I think also a ballpoint pen could work. This is to poke the holes in the pieces. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to explain these. Again, this is a basic video. If you're going to go out and buy clay, I would get more than one color, because I'm also going to show you different techniques for how to create, different slabs with just like a minimal, 1 or 2 colors. So if you're going out anyways, go out and buy these. If you think that you're going to want to invest in the clay, I would watch some of the other future videos before I go out and shop so that I have everything that I need. I realized there were 3 tools I forgot to mention before, so you only definitely need 1 set of pliers, and you can use pliers that are like for handiwork. There are ones that are for jewelry. They're a little bit easier to hold. They're a little smoother in my opinion. But again, if you're just like doing an activity with a kid, or just trying to see if you even like it, your handy pliers will work. So I have 2 here, but you can really use your hand in one. And then you also want a flexible blade, a straight one. If it comes in a pack with curvy ones, that's fine, but you want the one flexi blade. So let's go ahead and get started. For this video, I am going to use a Sculpey Soufflé clay. This color is yellow ochre. It doesn't matter what color you choose to use. You should know that white can be a little bit difficult. So if you choose to get white, make sure that you wash your hands really well before you start, and that your area is clean, because you don't want to get dust in it. I have broken off about half a block. It really depends on what you're making, how much you would need. And this comes with experience. An X-Acto knife could work to cut this, but the blade will have several other purposes as well. I am just slicing the clay. There's no specific thickness. The first thing I need to do is condition the clay, so I need to get it warm and soft in my hands. We don't want it to look like this. And so I just want to work with a little bit at a time at first. I think the easiest way is to kind of roll it like this. I'm going to show you with one piece, but we want to do this with everything, okay? So kind of get it in like a tube, bend it in half, twist it. This is great for color mixing. You don't necessarily have to twist it like that when it's just one color, but that's color mixing is for another time, okay? And I want you to make all of the clay soft in your hands. Okay, I've now conditioned the clay and warmed it up in my hands. How do you know when it's warm enough? Well, it's a little bit stickier than it used to be. I am just gonna lay it down on the tile, and I'm going to use my acrylic roller to roll it out to a consistent thickness. And I'm gonna show you the thickness after I roll it out. I have seen, but don't think I own any right now, popsicle sticks, someone using popsicle sticks as sort of depth guides so that you can get uniform depth. I didn't grab any for this video, and when I made my first pair, I didn't use any. We're looking for uniformity, so if you can sort of see, that is not uniform, so maybe I would flip my tile. I suppose you could also work on your kitchen tile tile floor if you have it. I've never done that, and I would be afraid to like scratch it, and I'm too old for that to be comfortable. So I'm just rolling it out. You don't want it to be too thin because the baking time is based on the thickness. Now, when I've done workshops and kind of everybody has different thicknesses, it still works out. Remember, this is an intro video. If you're really into, or you think you want to get into polymer clay, I will show you more supplies and kind of talk about different budget options. Okay, what you don't want to see is little air bubbles like this. I have just the one, so it's not bothering me. I'm gonna leave it there and just cut around it. When you are working by hand and not with like a pasta machine or depth guides, it's hard to get like a uniform thickness. I'm gonna show you what I have right now.
It's certainly not uniform, but it's better than it used to be, okay? All right, so I want to try out the different cutters. You can do a lot with a circle. I am gonna first try this medicine cap. So if you find that your cutters stick to your clay or your clay sticks to your cutters, you can have some water handy and just kind of dip the cutter in the water to make it less sticky. I am gonna push down, whoa, that medicine cup and kind of give it like a little twist, okay? You can do a lot with circles. So lids, anything that's, you know, not, it's kind of sharp. Okay, let's see. Not sharp like spiky, but smooth, I should say, actually. Ooh, that did not turn out great. I'm gonna work with it anyways. I think I must have squeezed the cup. And then I'm gonna see what this little cap can do as well. So I'm just pressing it, giving it a little wiggle. Trying to avoid that air bubble because that air bubble will cook that way. All right, let's see what we have here. Okay, so this oblong sort of circle, we're gonna leave that there. Now, just a thought, but I don't want this video to get too crazy. You could texture this, so maybe I'm not happy that it's not perfectly smooth. I could get a towel or a napkin, anything that would add texture to it. So just to add some interest, I actually did go through my kitchen drawers. This is just a regular, you know, towel from the dollar store. I'm lightly pressing here to give it texture. I am not rolling with, you know, pressure. Let's see what that, ew, gross, okay. That definitely made it more interesting. I can tell I pushed down too far here. It would be wise to texture it before you cut. All right, now, this is a skill, but take your flexi blade and you're gonna slide it under the clay and just kind of wiggle it back and forth. What that does is it lifts the clay off of the tile and gives it a pretty smooth back. We're gonna do something with this in a second. Let's go ahead and lift up our 4 pieces. The reason I like circles is because I could use my flex blade here and cut it in half and get semicircles. I can do something where I curve it and make it sort of like 3D.
Here you can see some different shapes I've made with just these 3 items. The heart Play-Doh cutter cut out the heart. The yellow cylinder cut out the small circle on top of the 2 semicircles in the middle, and it also cut the center of the big circle on the left. And then the medicine measuring cup cut the big circle on the left and also the circle in the middle, which I cut in half to make the 2 semicircles.
Here I'm trying my kids' Play-Doh roller. It doesn't have a lot of weight to it, so definitely the acrylic roller is still a preference, but it does work. Sometimes you'll kind of roll out your clay and find that it's not really getting thinner, so you can pick it up and, you know, flip it, or as long as you move it off the tile, kind of peel it off, then it has some space to roll out. I also want to take a moment to show you some other things you can do with circles. So here's the medicine top again. And before I used this lid, I'm gonna see if this Play-Doh toy, okay, ooh, and that could be like a stud. Well, I'll pull those apart here. Let's check those out. So I do want to say I'm not recommending that you use Play-Doh tools, but they are things I already had in my house because I have little kids. But they're kind of decent, actually. Obviously, the sharper the cutter, the better edge you're gonna get, but there are certainly things you could do, like how I'm patting the edges down. You can also run around it with your X-Acto knife and kind of cut off this extra
fringe so that it doesn't look as messy before you bake it. Now, you can see my hands were not clean. I got some dust there in my clay. You want to avoid that. If you happen to have it at the end, acetone does dissolve the clay. All right, but here's a heart. I really like the idea of 2 different size circles because there's so much you can do with them. Here, all I did was cut the circle in half, so you can imagine, you know, an earring like this. So the circles are so versatile. Another thing you could do, which I know I can't put these together, but if you want to try super glue and do a stud, if you cut halfway from the edge of the circle to the center and then curve one side up and one side down, you can make this sort of like 3D looking post that you can attach the post here, and then it kind of sits in your ear like that, but definitely adds interest. So what I'm doing right now is smoothing out the edges a little bit better with my hand. This is to avoid sanding. Just for this intro video, sanding can be a pain. It's quite a pain with sandpaper in my opinion. You could also use rotary tools, but it's just not my favorite. And if you smooth out as much as you can with your fingers, you can avoid sanding altogether. So this one, the oblong one, I'm applying very light pressure to sort of reshape it back into a uniform circle. You know, with these handmade pieces, you're not necessarily looking for perfection because that handmade look is really unique and desirable, but at the same time, especially if you're like selling a product or you're going to be wearing it, you know, you have specific expectations. What's happening here, I can get off after it bakes with my X-Acto knife, and I will show you that, okay? I'm just kind of rounding off anything that would be sticking out. It's not going to be perfectly smooth. Okay, let's set that there. Just going to do this for all the pieces. So they are smoothed out, almost ready for baking. If you don't get the hand drill, you need the toothpick now. You need to think about how the earring is going to go on. How do you want it to attach? Because this is where the holes are going to be. If you're using the toothpick and I asked you to use ball posts or hooks for attachment, I need a hole here to connect it to this. So I need a hole here, and then I need another hole up here for the hook or ball post. So I'm going to do 1 pair with the toothpick and save 1 pair for the hand drill. You do whatever you want to use. So if you're going to use the hand drill, don't worry about any holes right now. We'll do that post baking. If you're going to use a toothpick, pay attention to what I do here. I'm going in a few millimeters from the edge, and this hole will shrink up slightly. So you want to make it significant. It also depends on how thick your clay is. If my clay is thicker, I really need a bigger hole here so that the jump ring will move. I'm kind of like widening it out as I go, and I'm exaggerating this a bit because I'd rather it be larger than smaller, because smaller I can't really fix without specific tools, but larger, I mean, it's not a huge deal. And I'm going to do the same here. If your clay is moving around like mine is, one way to avoid that is to do this whole business before we slide it off the tile, but that's not a big deal. And I want this hole to be across. Again, I'm a few inches there, millimeters from the edge. Just kind of, okay. Definitely has like a handmade look to it, but it's going to be kind of cool. And like I said, I'm going to leave these alone because I'd also like to show you the drill. What I'm going to do now is grab a piece of scrap paper. So I have some scrap paper. It does not matter that there's text on it. I lost my train of thought for a second. Anyways, I'm going to gently place these on the paper. The paper keeps the back from becoming shiny. If you can bake directly on the tile, but the back will look shiny. So it kind of depends on your preference. I'm going to put this in the oven at 250. for 55 minutes. But I will tell you that I had a different toaster oven, and I set it to what was labeled as 250, but it always burned the pieces. So this might have some trial and error to it. Now I use a digital toaster oven and I can set it to the exact temperature, where the other one didn't have a lot of like specific measurements that I could go to. So that definitely helps, but we're shooting for 250 degrees, 50 minutes. We're gonna put this in and then I'll resume the video once they come out of the oven. Don't worry about the paper baking. Burning. It's not hot enough for it to burn. Okay, so here are my earrings out of the oven. I actually baked them for 55 minutes, not 50. They should feel flexible, like your clay should be able to like bend without breaking, but they shouldn't have burned. So I want to show you why we got the X-Acto knife and how I'm going to use it to shave that off. So here's my X-Acto knife. Like I said, you can get sandpaper or a rotary drill and sand. I usually use a rotary drill, but in the beginning I was using sandpaper and I think it's such a pain. But if you're trying to just do it with like on a budget, the X-Acto knife works better. So I'm just trying to go kind of parallel to the smooth surface and just in small strokes get off this clay. I don't want to be too rough because I don't want to get like a flat looking, like I don't want it to be like sharp and kind of lose that round look. So it's really up to your preference how smooth you want the edges to be and how far you want to go with like a tool. This edge isn't really bothering me. This one no, doesn't really bother me. It's mostly smooth. Same with this one. Okay, so before I had shown the toothpick hole, I want to also show you that hand drill works. Remember that this is not a necessary product for if you're just trying this out once. So this hand drill came with a bunch of bits. I have another one that I got off of Temu that doesn't come with as many, but that's okay. I'm just looking for one to be about this thick. If you're using the drill, you want to go on the side of smaller rather than larger because you can always make the hole bigger. Where toothpick, we said go large because you cannot make it bigger. Okay, so you kind of just twist that into place and then you press, where you want the hole to be. Again, we want to be a few millimeters in from the edge and you just turn it sideways. Let me see if I can hold it up. I would do this definitely on the surface, but as you can see, there are shavings that are coming out. So let me finish that. Okay. And then let's put 2 holes in this top piece. So what's nice about the hand drill is it gives like a uniform hole. We'll compare the two in a second here. But again, if you don't want to spend the $8 to $10, depending on where you get it. I think I actually got them off of Temu for like $4, but the shipping is a bit longer than Amazon. It's still reasonable in my opinion. Okay, so here, this is the hand drill. You can see the holes are more uniform. Where this was the toothpick, most of you probably have toothpicks already in your house. You can see that it's not as uniform. Now, let's talk about assembly. So as far as assembly, think about the parts you need. I will need a connector for each piece and a connector for the hook for both. I am a gold gal. I prefer gold. So let's see what I have here. This specific comes with posts. Let's just avoid posts for the very beginning because they can be more work if they're done well, unless you just want to super glue them on. Okay, so I need at least 4 jump rings. And actually, I want to show you something. So these hooks, which none of them came out in my hand, these hooks, the loop is like on the side. So the clay piece is too big to go in the loop this way, meaning I'm gonna need another small jump ring to connect that one to the hook. I happen to have a bunch of sizes, so I'm gonna go look in there. I'll show you that in a second. This is a pack. It actually didn't come with anything, but I did have another pack of jump rings that came with jewelry pliers and you know, some earring attachments and those kinds of things. Jump rings are named by the diameter. So this is like 4 millimeters, 5, 6, 7, and 10 in this pack. I like the box, so I actually just continue to refill the box, but I want to show you what I took out. I took out a 4 and a 5 millimeter, and I'll put those on the top. The diameter of your jump ring depends on how thick you rolled your clay. So if you rolled it too thick and you only have one jump ring size to fit, you might be out of luck. You might be able to, depending on what tools you have available, be able to make the hole bigger for it to go through. So let's see here. Now we're going to focus on attaching jump rings. So I like to use 2 pliers, but I'm going to show you with just one because I did say that you don't need to buy 2. In the jump ring, there is an opening at some point. It's hard to see on the camera, but it's at the top here. So holding kind of half of it and using the pliers to the other, you want to pull towards you. You want to open the jump ring like that, not apart, because pulling it apart makes it weaker, okay? And I'm just putting it through the one piece, then the other, and again, you can hold on to it with your hand. It's fine to do stuff by hand when you're making like 1 or 2, but it is not convenient when you're making like 100. So I'm actually gonna use the pliers to narrow in there. Now I've attached these 2 pieces, and I'm gonna get my 5 millimeter one. Oh Lordy. Same thing. Definitely requires some fine motor skills. So if you're doing this with a young kid, you probably want to do the assembly. Now let's see, this 5 might not be big enough. It needs to fit on the earring and have enough space that the other jump ring can go through it. So let's see. Sometimes this is a trial and error process. If you use a pasta maker for the thickness of the clay, you get a uniform thickness every time, so you kind of just learn what sizes do what. But if you're, rolling it by hand, the jump rings can be just a bit of trial and error. Okay, so now I've gotten that on. And remember, the reason is to sort of change the direction of the hook. So I'm just gonna place that there and close it back up. So if you're free rolling by hand, which I had recommended for this video, then you want to maybe have a variety of jump rings sizes or go big. That way you can be sure that it will fit. Or not sure, but at least more sure than if you only had one size. So let's close that back up. Now, there's our finished product. I'm going to assemble the other one and show you the final product. Here's the final product. It's hard to see the texture. I think there's overexposure right now from the light, but circles are such a versatile shape, so you can really make a bunch of different things. If you enjoyed watching this video, if you have any comments on how it could be better, please like and subscribe and comment below. And if you can follow me on Instagram at cologne_creations.co, I would love to see the things that you create, and you could just give me a tag.